Hey, today we are going to be talking about reading. So I'm going to bring up the reading lesson doc that everybody's going to be looking at. You can see it's reading, writing combined, Tuesday, April 7th. Pretty much what we're going to be doing is analyzing what a character does. I call it reading with a writer's eye because we're integrating reading and writing together. We're going to do a little character study. It should take you about 60 minutes for this. And I want you to work on noticing how authors develop their characters through what they do. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but basically, you're going to be picking a book to read, whether it's on Epic or your own book that you have at home. A chapter book is preferable. And then you're going to be looking at and analyzing characters in that story. So let's do a little direct instruction here with character development. Let's get started with this. I call it reading with a writer's eye. And this simple diagram right here helps you to understand characters. Good readers make inferences about characters using what they do, what those characters think, what those characters say or feel. And we're going to be, over the next few weeks, we're going to be working our way through, or I should say next few days, we're going to be working our way through different things that characters do in our reading. We're going to be looking at what they think, what they say, what they feel, and then ultimately what they do. Let me go back here. You can barely see the word actions at the bottom, but we're looking at actions today. What do characters do? So look at this comic, Calvin and Hobbes. Let's talk about what we know about the character of Calvin by what he does in this comic. So, boy, did I get in trouble at school today. Wow, what happened? I don't even want to talk about it. They walk in silence, and Hobbes goes, well, did it have anything to do with all those sirens about noon? I said, I don't want to talk about it, which his reaction lets you know he was the reason for those sirens. So what did he do? Well, that's up to the reader to decide. But in my head, it can't be good. Did he set something on fire? Did he flood the school? Something bad that Calvin did. And it's up to us to decide what he did, but we know it's not good. So what does that tell you about the character of Calvin? Well, it tells me he's mischievous. It tells me he doesn't think before he does things. And just by what a character does, it tells us a lot about that character. And that's what we're looking at today. Here's another comic. So here's the character we're going to be analyzing right here, this guy. Yeah, that guy. So let's figure out what he does or what he did, what that tells us about him. So here you can see he's clearly in a museum. You got these nice big dinosaur bones. They look like they're scientists because they're in lab coats, so they probably set all these dinosaurs displays up. And you can clearly see the signs, do not touch, do not touch. And he has this like sheepish, guilty grin. And this dinosaur has a big puff of dust because it collapsed. Well, what did he do? What did this character do? I am thinking, I'm going to infer that he's the one that knocked the skeleton over by what he did. Because he did that, what does that tell you about this character? Well, it tells me that he's clumsy. It tells me that he's similar to Calvin in that he doesn't think things through. And he's probably a little bit of a klutz. So, that's an introduction to character development right there. Writers want to build their characters for their readers, and they do that by what characters do. What characters do. So I'm going to show another great example of this. There's a cartoon out there called Larva, and there's no dialogue in this cartoon whatsoever. But I want you to look at what these characters in this cartoon do and see if you can tell me anything about them. So here we go. Here we go. So he's trying to get the food up here, and he just knocked that guy in the head. He's trying to help out, and he knocks that guy over. He runs into the dung beetle, causes a car crash. They're pretty mad. So I'm going to pause it. So what has he done? Well, he's made a lot of mistakes. He didn't mean to do those silly things that ended up hurting other people, but it looks like he's just a clumsy guy that causes a lot of trouble and distress. So, what he does really defines him as a character, this klutz that just is a little bit of a jinx that causes trouble and hurts people around him without really meaning to do it. So they cage him up. And he's sad and lonely. Now tell me about that character. That character comes over and I can tell that she's loving because what is she doing? She's reaching out to this poor, sad, unfortunate larva. Now they kind of look like they're almost crying and maybe feeling sorry for putting him in this little nail jail. And you guessed it, he ends up hurting all of them. Now, the fact that he pounds himself in the head lets you know that he's frustrated with himself. Do you see that? Everything he's doing is building that character of the yellow larva. So now he doesn't want to hurt any of his friends, so he sets himself adrift on this little tuna can in the middle of the harbor, the bay. He's upset and sad. You can see the city and his friends. The sun's bright and he closes the lid, which blinds a seagull, and it lets us predict what's going to happen here. The guy slips, the fish comes back to life, the bird drops, the rat knocks a bunch of stuff over, and all his friends still get hurt. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. I love that yellow larva character. What a perfect example of character development by what they do. So now, what we're going to do is actually apply that to a book. I'm going to Epic. Now, you don't have to. You can certainly pick a book that you have at home, but I'm going with Epic here. And I'm going to be using Mastermind. So I'm just going to start reading. And I'm looking for things that a character does. Before I start reading, here's what you're going to be doing today. It says select a book to read silently for 30 minutes. Now notice up here, for this lesson, you can read a book on Epic or use a chapter book at your home. That's fine. You're going to have to select the book to read silently for 30 minutes. You're going to have to write the title of the book below and write the name of the character you're going to analyze. Now, you may not get 3 examples, and that's okay. We're trying to get there. As you read, you want to try and find 3 different things that a character in your book does that shows you something about their personality or what type of character they are. And I would type them below. So as I read, I'm looking for at least one thing. And if I can get 3, great. So let's just get started with Masterminds. It's a 1 in a million shot, and we nail it. Just not in the way we planned. I lie against the cool stone of the pool deck and peer into the filter opening. I can make out the tip of the boomerang, but I can't quite jam my hand in deep enough to get a grip on it. It's stuck. What are the odds? Randy groans. You could throw that thing 50,000 times and never get anywhere near the filter, but one little challenge and bullseye. Now, Randy's famous around Serenity for his challenges, which usually involve catching something uncatchable while riding a bicycle, jumping on a pogo stick, swinging on a rope, or rolling inside a truck tire. Now, this kid does these things. He's trying to catch something while riding a bicycle, jumping on a pogo stick, swinging on a rope, or rolling inside a truck tire. What does that tell you about that character? Well, it tells you that he loves adventure, that he's willing to take risks, that he's stupid sometimes in the risks he takes, that he doesn't think things through. So I can go back into my paper. I have to figure this one out. It's Randy. So that's the character I'm going to be working with. So I can type it up here. The book is Masterminds. The character is Randy. And what does Randy do? He tries to to catch things while riding on a bike, hopping on pogo stick, or rolling in a truck tire. And what does that tell you? Well, that equals he loves adventure and he has no fear. That's what you're trying to do right now. Now, I would keep reading, of course, for 30 minutes, looking for at least 3 things. Now, if you come up with more than 3, great, put them down. But all we're doing is we're reading with the writer's eye. We're trying to see what the author is doing to build characters. And that is the strategy we're going to be working on for the next week. How do you build characters? Well, today it's through what a character does. That's what you're doing. Make sure you fill out that document. If it's not working in Teams, make sure that you're emailing it to me. But please, please, please save it first. So many people are just opening the document, they're filling it out and submitting it, and it turns out that it's blank because you didn't hit save. So please save first. All right, that's it. Good luck, Godspeed, and may the force be with you.